Recap in minutes. In today's video, we will be enjoying an action-adventure film, entitled X-Men Origins Wolverine. There will be spoilers ahead, chill out and enjoy. The movie begins with a sick young man named James Howlett confiding in his friend Victor Creed in 1845 in Northwestern Territory, British North America. John Howlett, James's dad, drops by to visit him. After Thomas Logan is finished ranting, there is a loud bang on the door. Upset, John decides to confront Thomas in person and heads downstairs. Minutes later, James hears a gunshot and rushes over to check. His father is killed by his friend Thomas Logan. James takes out his rage on older Logan by killing him with the bone claws that have grown out of his hands as a result of the tension of the situation. James learns through Logan, in his final moments, that Logan is actually his son as well. James runs out the door, and Victor chases after him, promising to keep an eye out for his younger sibling. After being threatened by a mob armed with torches, James and Victor make a break for it. In the years that follow, adult brothers James and Victor are seen fighting together in a variety of wars, including the American Civil War, World War I, World War II, and eventually the Vietnam War. Both of them age far more slowly in comparison to those who are not mutants due to their regenerative abilities, which prevent them from being killed in combat. James is compelled to take on the role of a calming influence on Victor, who is becoming increasingly furious and violent. In Vietnam, Victor murders a superior officer after he is stopped from raping a female. James and Victor are both found guilty of the crime and sentenced to death by firing squad. However, their special regenerative abilities allow them to avoid execution. While the two mutants are being taken into custody, Major William Stryker approaches them and extends an invitation to become members of Team X, the most elite group of mutants under his command. The team is made up of the mutants named Fred Dukes, who is invulnerable and possesses super strength. Then, there is John Wraith, who can teleport. Also, Chris Bradley, also known as Bolt, who can control electricity and possesses telekinetic abilities. Agent Zero, who is an expert marksman, and lastly, Wade Wilson, a mercenary who is an amazing swordsman who never stops talking. After joining the organization, the brothers are assigned to complete the group's initial objective, which is to rescue a meteorite from the headquarters of a diamond trafficking enterprise located in Lagos, Nigeria. When Stryker questions the diamond smuggler about the origin of the meteorite, the diamond smuggler responds by saying that it originated in a remote community further inside Nigeria. The team travels there, and in order to discover where the meteorite was discovered, Stryker and the team engage in the harsh interrogation of the local inhabitants. Appalled by the killings his comrades perpetrated, James decides to leave the organization despite Victor's efforts to convince him to stay. Victor's complaints and persuasions fail to sway James. 6 years later, James, who now goes by the surname Logan, is working as a lumberjack and lives with his girlfriend, Kayla Silverfox. In the meantime, Victor tracks down and kills Bradley, an employee at the circus. Victor also reveals that Wade has already passed away. Stryker tracks down Logan and tells him that an unknown assailant is murdering former members of the disbanded squad. Stryker makes a plea for assistance to Logan, but he is turned down. A short time later, Victor is responsible for Silverfox's death. Wolverine pursues his half-brother but is ultimately unsuccessful in his mission. Stryker makes a second request for Logan's assistance, and this time, Logan agrees to assist. Adamantium, a nearly unbreakable metal, is extracted from the meteorite source that Team X discovered in Nigeria and incorporated into Logan's skeleton by Stryker. Adamantium was used to reinforce Logan's skeletal system. Before the operation, Logan makes a reference to a story that Kayla told him by requesting that the name Wolverine be engraved on his new dog tags. After the procedure, Stryker gives the order to erase Wolverine's memories, but Wolverine is able to overhear this and runs away. Stryker gives Agent Zero the mission to track him down and sever his head once they find him. Travis and Heather Hudson, an elderly couple, observe their barn being entered by Wolverine, who has escaped while naked. They're suspicious but welcoming, giving him food and clothing, including a leather jacket of their son's, and their son's motorcycle. The following morning, Zero shoots both of them to death. Wolverine destroys several high-mobility multi-purpose wheeled vehicles, a helicopter, and Zero himself, and then communicates with Stryker using Zero's radio to inform him that he will hunt down Stryker. Stryker warns Wolverine not to follow the answers he is looking for because he will not enjoy what he discovers if he does so. Stryker is concerned that Wolverine will not be happy with what he finds out. In order to find the location of Stryker's new laboratory, Wolverine tracks down John Wraith and Fred Dukes, two of Stryker's old associates who are now morbidly obese as a result of an eating disorder brought on by feelings of remorse. Wolverine discovers that the destroyed team had been collecting young mutants for Stryker after beating Dukes in a boxing bout. Remy LeBeau, also known as Gambit, is the only one of them to have successfully evaded the island laboratory and is aware of its whereabouts. Dukes reveals to Logan that his brother Victor is, in fact, working undercover for Stryker, hunting for and killing mutants on Stryker's behalf. In the meantime, Stryker manages to capture a younger version of Scott Summers with the assistance of Victor. Wolverine and Wraith eventually track down Gambit in a bar in New Orleans. Gambit believes that Wolverine has been sent to recapture him, so he uses his power to resonate inanimate items with kinetic energy and throws numerous playing cards at Wolverine, which causes him to fly through a wall. Wraith continues to watch from the outside. Outside, Wolverine witnesses Victor killing Wraith and removing a blood sample from him. Victor is seen leaving the area. Wolverine and Victor are engaged in combat when Gambit steps in and stops them. Victor is able to flee, and after a brief battle, Gambit convinces Wolverine to accompany him to the hidden mutant prison/laboratory that Stryker has built. It turns out that the site in question is 3 Mile Island. Once there, Wolverine confronts Stryker and discovers that Silver Fox is still alive and that Victor faked her death by giving her hydrochlorothiazide. She was following the mutant in order to rescue her sister Emma Frost, who was also being held captive in the facility. This betrayal has left Wolverine in utter disbelief. Wolverine walks away now that he has resolved his differences with Stryker. Infuriated by Stryker's decision to release Wolverine, Victor insists that the adamantium surgery be performed. However, Stryker informs him that he will not survive the treatment, and as a result, Victor becomes enraged and tries to kill Silver Fox. Despite the fact that she is physically present with Victor, her ability to persuade him does not have any effect. After hearing Silver Fox scream, Wolverine launches an attack on Victor. When Wolverine is finally presented with the opportunity to end Victor's life, he chooses not to give in to his savage instincts and instead knocks Victor out. Silver Fox leads Wolverine to the holding cells, and the X-Man breaks the mutants out of the cells. Emma Frost and Scott Summers are 2 of the mutants who were freed. Stryker, overcome with panic, abruptly activates his newest creation, Weapon 11, which is a deformed version of Wade Wilson, who is bald, pale-skinned, and deformed. He does not have a mouth, and his skin has patterns that denote his adamantium bone structure. When the rescue group gets close to an exit, Stryker's agent, Weapon 11, stands in their way and prevents them from leaving. Wolverine warns them to look for an alternative exit as 2 lengthy blades emerge from Weapon 11's arms. The blades resemble Wolverine's claws but more closely resemble katana swords, which are Wilson's preferred method of attack. Wolverine has come to the conclusion that the abomination before him is, in fact, Wade Wilson. He makes a remark after that. Weapon 11, commonly known as Deadpool, is a mutant Frankenstein's monster that possesses the powers of numerous of the mutants that have been slain or captured, including Summer's optic blasts, Wraith's teleportation, and Wolverine's healing ability. During the process of escaping, Silver Fox sustains fatal injuries. The remaining mutants are led to safety by Scott through the facility's underground tunnels. However, he is unable to explain how he is familiar with the route. As the group emerges from the tunnel, they come face to face with a helicopter. A well-known figure, Professor Charles Xavier, is currently traveling with them in the helicopter. He is the one who led them to safety and invited them to make their new home at his school. In the meantime, Wolverine and Weapon 11 take their battle to the top of one of the cooling towers at the nuclear power station. Wolverine has been overpowered by Weapon 11, and it is about to decapitate him when Victor comes back to help his brother. Now working together, Wolverine and Victor are able to decapitate Weapon 11 and throw its head, which is still firing optic blasts, down into the cooling tower. In spite of Victor's assistance, Wolverine is abrupt in breaking the news to him that their partnership has come to an end. After Victor has concluded his point, he leaps off the cooling tower to show his brother that they will never be finished together. The damage caused by the optic blasts results in the collapse of the cooling tower, but Wolverine is saved by Gambit. Wolverine entrusts Gambit with the responsibility of ensuring the safety of the inmates while he searches for Silver Fox, who remains behind due to the fact that she was injured. Stryker fires a bullet made of adamantium at the person who is carrying the victim to safety while he is doing so. Wolverine rushes Stryker in an attempt to murder him, but he is struck in the head by a bullet, which renders him comatose. The movie ends with Stryker approaching Silver Fox and readying himself to shoot her as well, but Silver Fox uses her powers of persuasion to tell Stryker to first throw away the pistol and then walk away until his feet bleed. Stryker complies with Silver Fox's orders. She succumbs to her wounds and passes away. Gambit comes back to reassure Wolverine that the mutants are okay, but Wolverine is suffering from amnesia as a result of the brain damage suffered by the adamantium bullets. Therefore he does not recall anything. Gambit is unable to persuade Wolverine to accompany him on his journey. Before leaving, Gambit bids Wolverine farewell and good luck, and Wolverine quickly escapes the area as paramedics and police officers approach. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this and help the channel grow.